Welcome back to Property Play. I'm your host, Elena Saradidis, and today I'm with Winston. He's the vice president of Tridel, and we're talking all things development, new construction. What are the predictions for the upcoming years?
First and foremost, I don't have any prediction, and I don't have a crystal ball. But like, if you actually take a look at the current market, it's interesting. It's not easy for developer to operate, and I think from this kind of negativities that you see for the past year or maybe a few months too, I hope you and some of the audience understand the risk take by the developer, right? So it is sounds easy. A lot of people think they make a lot of money, but at the end of the day, the profit margin is not as high. And then no one predicted COVID, no one predicted high interest rate, and no one predicted geopolitical event happening around the world. There's so many wars happening around. Those are the risks that a developer take. Yes, we take your 20% deposit, but then there are so many attributes that we do. Now, currently, I think we definitely run into a certain challenge too, but if you kind of think about fast forward to 2027 or 2028, the inventory would not be as much anymore. I mean, if we're already down from 100,000 to 400,000, next year will be down by another 20,000, and fast forward to 2027 and 2028, you may only have a few thousand home for 7 million metropolitan city, and then you still have some immigration and foreign student incoming too. So that's not a great scenario that we're looking for.
So what is happening is by the time we hit those years, we're going to absorb all the inventory that's currently sitting here, and then we'll have real inventory issues. There's going to be a shortage of supply. And there's not a lot of developers that are launching projects right now, let alone prepared to start building at that point. And I think that's the part that a lot of people don't realize. As much as, people view developers as the greedy developers trying to do all these things, it's not. No one does their job for free. So developers still need to make money.
Yeah.
The cost of building is expensive, and they need to sell a portion of the building before they can even start construction. So if we don't have anyone willing to pay for pre-construction, then we can't start development. If we can't start development, there's no new product. And that's what I think a lot of people don't realize. So as much as there is inventory right now, we are heading into a time where we won't have this kind of inventory.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that some is the mindset that we kind of think about it. And then I think the problem challenge as well too, that may not be as many developer that will be available to build when you wanted to build it. You probably see some news and narrative about a certain developer needed to kind of remove a certain sales workforce and whatnot to building trades. If they don't have job, that they may not be able to kind of keep the same amount of people incoming for building the homes that we're looking for. And I think that's something that it's not a prediction, but it's a reality that in terms of the number too, we always have a narrative about we need to build more homes, which is true. Would we be able to get it through? Currently, yes, inventory is a bit higher in a certain product, like in the smaller home, the smaller condominium homes that we built. So I think that will be a challenge too. But you pointed earlier too, assuming that we have currently, when we review the report, that will be down to like 6 to 7 months of inventory. When the market become 3 to 4 months of inventory, become balanced market already. You already see not just in terms of the high rise, but in terms of the detached home or some other build form too. The market is starting to balance off a little bit too. So I think that's a positive sign. But ongoing, there will be a lot more challenge and the labor, the cost, and then yes, the developmental charge seems to be going down a little bit too. But however, that's still representing 20 to 30% of the cost of the homes too. The cost is really very, very difficult to coming down anytime soon until there is some drastic move from the government or some other policy that would actually help us navigate through. So in terms of that landscape, it's not as easy. It's already difficult, but I will find it more difficult in the next 2 to 3 years time.
We should also talk about we won't name names,
Yeah.
but some developers have gone into receivership lately.
Yeah.
Do you want to just talk about a little bit about what is receivership, and then we'll come into one floor?
Right. So that I won't be able to comment too much about that yet.
I figured if I
Yeah.
started the
So
camera on Winston and asked him questions, maybe
so
I'll get an answer.
however, but in terms of like again going back to the challenge too. Now to your point, I really like your point that no no developer would plan to go to receivership when they start the project too. So as I mentioned before, there were so many cost and risk that certain developers incoming too. So although you see quite a bit of receivers incoming too, do they deliberately do that? I don't think so, because in any typical project, you have many consultant, you have a lot of banks and try to do it too. But something different is experience. And then for the experience, it's very important, especially going through even a normal market, especially in the extreme market too. Like as I mentioned earlier, who would be predicted there is a COVID, there will be a supply chain issue, there is war around the world, there is inflation, there is the Trump uncertainty or tariff uncertainty totally hit at the same time. Also at the same time, it's almost like a perfect storm with so many inventory, mainly because of the psychological effect, and we are also dealing with some of, interestingly, the sales success from a few years ago. Now that everything come together in a perfect storm, so would all the developer be able to kind of go through what they planned to go through? When you receive a brochure, or I should say, when you bring a customer to see a condominium project, you submit a worksheet, you assume you receive a brochure, you assume this particular project will start construction, you assume this project will go into occupancy, you assume this project will be finished. All this becomes a various different challenge. So receivership, in short, it's basically they have a certain contractual agreement in terms of financial capability to that they would not be able to fulfill the loan payment in terms of schedule. Then if the particular creditor feel that particular developer may not be able to fulfill the loan obligation, so they would start the proceeding. So they will ask the court to kind of go to the receiver. After the receiver, usually they would go to some credit arrangement, and then they may find new homeownership and move forward. So yes, unfortunately, there is a few case on that too. Some developer may not be moved forward. So that also speak to our point earlier that assuming we have X amount of developer, would we expect the same amount of developer that would be collectively dealing with the task that we have, the $1.5 million home in Ontario, which we needed? You will have less developer that will help you achieve the goal.
100%. And also, I'm noticing not as many people, not as many developers are absorbing new projects or land to start planning for the future. I think Tridel is one of the anomalies. Like, you guys were built to last.
Yes.
Like, you've been in the industry for 90 years. You've had ups, you've had downs. You know exactly what kind of product sells. So it is a builder with reputation. And I think that's what you're going into. So even in this market, we can't say no one's buying pre-construction.
Yeah.
People are still buying it, but I think they're being a little bit more selective with who they're choosing to back, what developers they're choosing to buy product in right now.
And even for us too, we also need to challenge ourselves as well too. I'm not saying that we won't have any challenge. We also have even more challenge too, because being a leader in the industry for the past 90 years, 90,000 home build, and then even for us to kind of challenge ourselves to be able to do better in terms of in terms of the current market. But I think the experience do help for us to kind of navigate through this too. And I mentioned in the last conversation that we have, one of the attributes that I feel so proud is I work for the same organization of the past 31 years, and we've seen that before. So we see the up market, and arguably it may not actually be the best market even for us to operate, because we won't actually have time or ability to be able to demonstrate what we design for. Like, we are a responsible home builder. We spend a lot of time and energy designing a home. We won't be able to kind of tell the story properly. So now that we do. And some of the decision that we make in the past, we think it is really good a decision uh, looking back. One of the comment you make is some of the project come to us and then we now become the developer of record. Some of the attributes is some of the conservative or sales management discipline that we put in. One of the big attributes is the financial qualification that we insist to kind of check the mortgage approval. I'm sure that you and I talk about that too in the good time. One of the reasons say that in the good time we not operate as easy as other developer. It's I do recall seeing one of the presentation for some other developer. Rather than they focus on the attribute of the developer, the name and the product and what that to the first slide is do not buy from Tridel because they check mortgage approval. We don't.
Can I actually ask you, and feel free to not disclose if you don't want to, but I actually think it's a super good number for people to know. You guys do check everything. You're one of the hardest developers, I would say. Like, you want all the paperwork,
Yes.
which is a good thing because when the market doesn't do as well and people can't close on properties, how many non-closers do you have?
It's very little. Interestingly, too, we do have certain challenge too. However, it's not the same number that fortunately you hear from the media, and I think that kudos to the team for the decision and also our financial partner as well to kind of insist for us to check through that too. It is a difficult process, but that turns out to be very, very good for us.
Can I
in the
say it?
future.
I think you guys were in single digits, and I think a lot of other developers were in hundreds of units that can't close.
Right. So like I can speak for other developer as well too, but with obviously different developer for some challenge, but that's something very proud that we have that in place. We also have fortunately have a lot of partner that would kind of assist that to go through this different endeavor. And then also the financial partner that come to us to give us also very, very, very difficult and conservative timeline too, so that we be able to kind of do the financing what we do. But making sure that you in place your own finances is very important because some of the challenge that you see currently, why so many developer have like hundreds or condo didn't close is, I I think some of the potential homeowner back then was not have that actually have ability to close. That's number one. And also, I don't think they have full intention to close at all. One of the things that I observed back then, and it's the good time, which I don't understand back then, was the first question they ask is not, oh, you know what, I want to
Can you
understand.
assign it?
Exactly. Can you assign it? And then they focus on the timeline. Or when is the occupancy? So why is the occupancy? I thought it was very well planned, but it is. But they were actually wanted to time it out. They probably were a single person, not qualified, wanted to buy 2, 3, 4, 5 home, and they kind of financialize it, and then making sure that this is closed, and then you make X amount and put this too. What you see is also kind of like the epic collapse of the irresponsible home purchase that they were
So
encounter.
let's go to what an assignment sale is. An assignment sale is when you're purchasing a pre-construction condo from someone else that originally purchased the pre-construction condo. And there was a period in time where it was actually very profitable. Someone would buy a condo for 400,000, flip it for 600,000. They made a profit on it. They paid their taxes on it and called it a day. It stopped working when new construction condos started equaling or becoming more expensive than the resale market. And people got caught in that type of transaction. They were buying it with the intent never to close, thinking that they're going to sell it and make an automatic profit, and then it didn't happen.
Yeah. So that's not what a responsible developer do. Like even for your team too, we are building homes to sell to homeowner, which they would use in the future. May not be right away. Could be for future for the family too. Would that be financial gain? Yes, that will be some of the directive, but it could not be all the directive. the condominium home is not designed as like a stock that you can financialize it and whatnot too. I think we kind of talked about it before. We really need to go back to basic. You buy an investment, good. That would be good things to kind of diversify the portfolio. Focus on what you need rather than the future financial gain, and also home ownership. And even you buy for investment, it's a long term, it's not short term financial gain. I think that is something that we find it. And now people try to understand a little bit more. And then also, if you think about some of the pricing collapse that you think about it too, you hear some narrative about 20% or 30% and all that too. Now, first and foremost, not all the condominium have this type of price adjustment. And responsible home builder to create the home that they're looking for. You did a couple of transactions here as well too. As long as we be able to kind of develop the kind of be able to demonstrate the value, you be able to get the value or the price that you're interested. But in the very good time, or I should say the crazy time at the time, we as an industry randomly increase price. So if it could be when you open the door, it could be $1,000 a foot, and then later on after you sell X amount, will be 1,100, 12, 1,300, blah blah blah. But fast forward to now, you see some of the investment was the kind of rapid random increase of the prices that going back to the adjustment. If you actually take a look at an average, you see some certain assignment sales or a certain say oh they have a X amount of loss. But if you actually dissect it, those are the price that was almost like pre-COVID. Before the crazy increase, I can even correctly tell you the price of a property back then. That was the adjustment. And even using my own home as an example was a pretty interesting story. In the COVID time, obviously we work at home and everything, and agents still working. And at the time, the price was crazy. If you ask myself, first and foremost, how much is your home? I cannot even tell you. And then I would stay at home, work from home, and the agent knock on the door and say, and first and foremost, they were so surprised. They said, why you're not living in a Tridel condo? Why do you live in a home? So they automatically work for Tridel, live in a home, live in a condo. So no, like actually live here. Oh, you know what? I have good news for you. Your home is now, like I have people ready to buy a home at like $2 million to $2.5 million. And so, okay, but it doesn't entice me at all. Like I still need to live in a home. My daughters still go to school in the area, blah, blah, blah. And then all that too. A few weeks, it knock on the door again. Oh, the evaluation I give you now is $100,000 more. Fast forward to almost a month later too, the price would escalated for $500,000 for nothing, for absolutely no market dynamics or no. It's all because of the multiple offer. A random home will increase $500,000. Now, if you actually use that number to dissect the quote unquote price drop, 20 to 30%, those are the random pricing that was dropped. And then arguably, and we kind of talk about it too. Now, even if you offer me $4 million, double the price too, I still would not move because I am living in a home. I have a certain attribute that I need to live in that home too. So sometimes that we need to kind of quote unquote less focus on the price to focus on what you need. Like it's the home, like say now at the time that was the price increase, but you also talk about it and the home unfortunately now is not 1.5 million. You do not realize a loss yet. You're not selling it. You don't need it to, right?
We were talking about it again before the cameras turned on. We talked about a concept called perceived loss.
Yeah.
So like you didn't actually lose any money. Your property might have gone up, then it came down. You might have not actually lost any money, but the perceived loss is if I sold at the height of the market, I would have made X amount more. But what they don't realize is then what would you have bought and how much more would you have bought that property for? Like, yes, you might be selling for less now, but you're also buying for less now. There is a math to this. And I think people need to start realizing just because your property was worth a certain number at one point in the market does not mean that your property is actually that value.
Yeah.
It's a perceived loss. It's not an actual loss. You didn't try to sell in that market. And then what would you have bought in that market? Because everything was crazy. Everything was hot. Like even my own house, like I'm a very firm believer in house hacking. I love buying multiplex homes. It's my thing. My house when I first purchased it, I purchased it for 1.612. 6 months later, I called my mortgage broker and said, I want to refinance my house. He goes, it's been 6 months. Like, what are you refinancing? I'm like, no. 3 houses in my area have just sold. They've all sold for an insane amount of money. I want to refinance. They sold for around 2.3 million. Refinance the house.
That's
but
like 40%.
not common. And I have to explain that to everyone too. It was luck because usually you'd hold on to the house for 10 years and see that kind of return. It was luck. We didn't time it perfectly. It just happened. We bought it at the right time and then I refinanced. If I went back to the bank right now, asking for the same evaluation, it wouldn't hit 2.3. I'd be lucky if I got 2.3.
Yeah. So those are the adjustment that a lot of people kind of hear about it too. So those also, don't forget about those random pricing. If you actually take out the random pricing that you and I talk about it too, I'm not saying the market it's perfect now too, but it's not as bad as how a lot of people. There's still fundamentals. If you even currently, even a small 1 bedroom, if you market it properly, you demonstrate it to tell story, and you still sell, like obviously detached home and all that too. It just adjusts back to kind of your point about the crazy pricing before, right?
It's perceived value. It wasn't actually in existence. But when you go back to, if you stage it well, if you do everything, it still sells. It still moves. People are very visual. It's hard to imagine living in a space without furniture in it. And there's a certain set of the population that can see it. They can see where they'll put a dining room table. They can see where they'll put furniture. And then there's a certain population that won't. Like, I just sold a condo unit a few weeks ago in a building that there's 11 of the same condos for sale. 11. You would tell the client, there's a chance of you selling. It's not very high. And if we do sell, it's a race to the bottom because we don't know what everyone else's motivation level is. We were the first one to sell in the least amount of time. We didn't drop our price and we got a very good number. No one else has since got that number. And there's been 1 or 2 other sales in the building since that sale happened. The reason why we sold is because we didn't cut any corners. We painted the unit, we staged the unit, we showcased it right. And then we were on top of every single person that came in. It isn't a time to cut corners in this market, and it's a time for your agent to be on top of every showing.
Yeah.
You want to be able to demonstrate your value in that sense. You're no longer just selling to your client why they should work with you. Why you putting the sign up in the front lawn is the reason for them to buy the house. They're working with you because you have to be able to explain to everyone else why yours is the best one, why they should work with you and not with one of the other 11 units. And the difference was me calling every agent after they saw it saying, you want to do a deal with me. I'm the easiest agent to do a deal with. Bring me an offer. You and I are going to get a deal done together.
Yeah, I witnessed it. That's true. Yeah, you're an amazing negotiator. And then interestingly, even for you, yes, you and I are on a different field, but that's no different from even a reputable developer like us too. And yes, 90 years, 90,000 home built, but we have to earn your trust. And in the first time we met, I have to pass your test, right? Seems like that I kind of pass your test. And then we also need to challenge ourselves to go through it. We think we do great and here too. Like the first time you come and visit us too, that was the model suite from 3rd floor fast forward. Now our model suite is on the 8th floor. So definitely there is activities, and we also need the extension of the sales team like yourself to be able to tell your side of the story, be able to justify the value that I do. Yes, obviously our intention is to design a perfect building, but then how you be able to kind of the one purchase a year. Honestly, our task, it's not as difficult. Like say, for instance, I have 1 suite here too. You just need to fund 1 buyer for us. And then I think that's why we really love to kind of work with team like yourself, be able to help us kind of find the perfect one to be able to move into a condominium living. And for us, there are so many choices as well too. Yes, you can take them to see all the MLS listing too. You would now also have new opportunity to bring them to our network as well too, because currently we have 6 to 7 a new building moving in. Every building would kind of tell the story. So I'm sure that in your team, you'll be able to visit Royal Bayview next to a golf course, and later on we can take you into Kingsway to check out the new or call it like a brownstone and townhome area and the Kingsway area. Obviously here the well, like we never get bored. coming from here to see the new urban oasis. So there is a lot of good, exciting attributes. Now is the time for you to kind of go and explore. Before, we don't have time to do so. I don't even have time to kind of demonstrate it, detail to it too. And then back then, when a good time to do, we have time to do the podcast? Absolutely not. And now that's a good attribute. At least we can talk and recorded it.
100%. You just need to follow you around with cameras next time.
Right.
Then we'll be able to have a day in the life of what Winston does on a day-to-day basis. But there is an attribute of storytelling that comes in real estate. It's an emotional buy. As much as people are like, this is an investment. Even if you are investing in real estate and you're just an investor, it's not you're just an investor. Why are you investing in real estate? You want to have a better life for your kids, your family. You're trying to grow financial freedom. Like, what is the goal in investing in real estate? What's the goal in you moving? Like, what do you like to do on the weekends? What do you like to do on the evenings? And that's questions that we have when we intake a new client is, what do you like to do? I make this joke every time I onboard someone new. I'm like, if I can't walk to coffee, right in the well.
Oh, DeMello coffee.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. If I can't walk to coffee, I can't live there.
Right.
And I go, what is your must-haves? If you can't do what, why won't you buy it? And if the answer is you need to be able to walk to coffee, then walkability is really high on your list. If you can't walk there, then we can't go to the suburbs. You're going to hate it. We can't do this. You're not going to like it. Maybe if it's security, maybe you're a young professional. Maybe, you've never lived in a house. You've always been in a condo. Having a security guard is a huge, huge value add. Maybe you need a ground floor walkout because you have a dog. And maybe that's a huge value add. Until we know exactly what you're looking for, I can't place you. So the more I know about you, the more you and I become best friends on our little tour day.
Yeah.
The more I can figure out exactly what fits your criteria. And that way, when we walk into something like this, I could say, for you, really high up there was entertaining. You want to be able to have a bunch of people over. Imagine entertaining in this space. For you, you're downsizing. You've been living in a house all your life. You're not ready to give up your basement. You're not ready to give up this. How do we get you into a product that you don't give up anything? You still have everything that you loved about your home. So we need to know, and it is an emotional purchase, and you need to be educated on what's currently in the market, but you also have to figure out what your must-have list is and what is you cannot live without. There's a difference.
Yeah, and also on that note too, I also learned a few things lately about the home buying purchases, right? Like a lot of people say, oh, you know what, I just smart sizing in a condominium and all that too. There was a new term that I kind of learned from one of the realtor that was marketed. Interestingly, that particular realtor worked in Muskoka. So, and then all of a sudden we see quite a few Muskoka realtor coming here too. So the term that we're using is, I'm buying an urban cottage for my client. So interesting. So that's also a new lifestyle as well too, because there's because of the remote work from home, or there is a certain African individual choose to have the lifestyle in the weekdays in the Muskoka or you call it a resort country, and then they need to look for an urban cottage, so it's like in the well,
Pied de terre.
a bit of tear, and before they only look at Yorkville. Now that they come here, they fall in love, and then they keep coming in as well too. So that's a different lifestyle. And one thing I learned also is, do not assume they're buying small suite, not at all, because they would also want to buy a home size suite as like a larger peditier here for the enjoyment, because when they come here, they go to concert, they can culinary experience in downtown Toronto and be able to walk to the games and walk to the play, you name it. And that's a different lifestyle too. But until such time, to your point, you onboard your customer exactly what you're looking for. It could be even an urban cottage as well.
Yep, 100%. Thank you so much for talking with me today. Once again, this is Elena Saradidis, and this is Property Play. If you like content like this, make sure to like, follow, and subscribe.